will be creating so much electricity that you'll be saying, please, please, President, we don't want any more electricity. We can't stand it. You'll be begging me, no more electricity, sir. We have enough. We have enough. In just 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal.
Ready? Okay, cool. Kage, you ready for the next brilliant episode of the CentBee Show, Kage?
Ready, Mr. G.
Yeah? You ready to talk Bitcoin and poke fun at politicians? Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CentBee Show. I'm your host, Lorien Gamaroff, and my co-host is the Bitcoin creative extraordinaire, Ntshingila. Kage, welcome to the show.
What's up, Mr. G?
Hey, how's it, man?
You know, it's show day, Mr. G. You know, I'm always excited when we get to do this.
You sound excited.
I am. I'm fresh as well, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And today it's something different. We're going to be doing a reaction to the greatest Bitcoin speech ever.
We need to actually cover this because it's still ongoing news.
Yes.
And it's a bit topical, especially in our space.
I would say it's very topical. So what are we referring to? We're referring to the Bitcoin Nashville Conference that was held in Nashville, in the United States.
Yeah.
And it was a huge conference. I would say the biggest crypto conference ever.
In the world, yeah.
35,000 people attended.
That's a huge one.
Politicians. Edward Snowden was there.
Yeah.
Well, he spoke. RFK Jr., Donald Trump.
The Winklevoss twins.
Winklevoss twins. Yeah. Michael Saylor, of course.
Yeah.
You know, he's the I don't know what do you call Michael Saylor?
He's the honcho crypto god.
Yeah. Yes. You know, he deserves a whole video, I think, on its own. So we definitely are going to tackle Michael Saylor one day because Michael Saylor, if you don't know who he is the CEO of a company called MicroStrategy that went in big on Bitcoin, BTC, of course.
Yeah.
And he's been around the world and speaking around the world, trying to get everybody to take out loans and take out mortgages on their houses and buy Bitcoin. He thinks it's a sure thing.
Laser eyes. Like, he's been, like, promoting that narrative, you know?
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot, actually, we need to cover on him.
Yes, definitely. But today, we wanted to tackle the Bitcoin conference, and there's just so much material in there that we want to tackle at some point.
Yeah.
But what we decided to do for this show is focus on one speech in particular. Obviously, the world's greatest Bitcoin speech, Donald Trump. He attended this conference and he gave his take and what he plans to do, if you vote for him, of course, for Bitcoiners in America. And we thought it's such a typical politician speech, pandering to crypto people, and of course in Donald Trump's style, that we thought it would be a shame to not address it fully.
Ms. G. I mean, it's perfect, like, for a person like Trump to be actually, you know, on the center stage talking about crypto, because it irons out, like, what we've been saying all along about, you know, people with big influence having to, you know, throw around all these speculations and misconceptions around Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right. Trump, you know, it's funny, he years ago called Bitcoin out for being a scam.
Funny enough, yeah.
And now that election season is around the corner and he suddenly sees this giant voting block, obviously now he wants to go and pander to that block. But there were a lot of things he said in his talk that I think it's worth us just tearing apart a little bit. His talk really was just a mishmash of all the tropes and the cliches and the speaking points that crypto people have. He must have just done a little compilation and then he just tried to hit every one of those and make sure he gets the largest number of cheers from every statement. So we want to go through this talk. We're going to react to this video, so you're going to watch it along with us. We're not going to watch the whole thing because 2/3 of it was just politics. So really there's only a third of that talk that deals with Bitcoin specifically.
I mean, he's a politician, so obviously,
he's on the trail, campaign trail. Yeah, so we're going to watch the stuff where he specifically talks about Bitcoin, and we want to just give our take on that and give a response to that, and then also maybe have a chuckle because, like him or not, the guy's a comedian. And
I like Donald Trump, honestly. I like him.
I mean, we're not political. Also, we're South African. We don't have a what is called a dog in the fight.
We don't.
We're not trying to point out any particular politician.
Yeah.
But when politicians, whoever they are, say stupid things about Bitcoin, we definitely want to point them out.
Definitely. I mean, it's also our duty, Mr. G, you know, to clarify all the misconceptions, you know, iron out some creases there, because
yes, he is, after all, an ex-president, might be the next president. So what he says,
it sits, Mr. G. It's quite scary.
Not the promises we're gonna, but I mean, he has a huge amount of influence,
big time,
and you can imagine what kind of impact he's had on crypto now and all the excitement. Although the price, I don't know what the price is doing right now, but I don't think it's doing very well. But anyway.
So I mean, a person like him has like enormous, you know, amounts of influence. So definitely it's important for us to iron it out like we always do every week. You know, we iron out the misconceptions. So yeah, Ms. G, I mean, we have to jump into it.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm quite keen to
our very first reaction video.
Yes. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna be reacting and looking at this conference. You're gonna watch it with us. We're going to probably be skipping a few chunks just to make sure that we don't, you know, get into the politics. But let's go get into the Bitcoin of it and see how Donald's doing. Are you ready, Kage?
I'm ready, Mr. G.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hello, Bitcoiners. Thank you very much. Hello. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you. So, Secret Service just told me, sir, would like a little more time. I said, you take all the time you want. You can take 2 hours, 3 hours, the hell with the people that have been waiting out here. But I'm sure they don't mind either.
I mean, just right off the bat, that's Trump, right? It's like, to hell with the people. I love you guys.
Trump is funny, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. Comedy. All right.
But it is a great honor. And
okay, so right off there, dives into politics.
Yeah.
We're not interested. Let's get stuck into his Bitcoin statements.
Yeah.
But I'm thrilled to be here in Nashville to become the first American president ever to address a Bitcoin event anywhere in the world.
Yeah, you did mention American president. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I think that is true.
It is.
Of course, there've been RFK the day before, and there've been other presidents. I mean, Bukele and all that in El Salvador.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the first time an American president has attended a Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think Kamala Harris was invited to the conference, but she didn't make it.
She refused. I'm sure she refused because she must be anti-crypto.
Yes, well, of course, we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, well, I mean, Trump is definitely addressing a crypto conference, and you can imagine the excitement that people have. Almost thinking, you know, I almost feel like in this conference, it's kind of peak crypto.
It is.
You know, you can imagine the euphoria in that audience, 20, 30,000 people, Donald Trump on the stage. You know, it's almost like, and he's making these promises. I mean, this must have been the high point of Bitcoin ever.
The room was just full of hopium in
Full
the
of
air.
hope. And you can hear it in the background. Everyone's cheering their asses off.
Anywhere in the world. I want to thank David Bailey for inviting me. Special guy. You know, this whole love affair sort of started. David, about 4 months ago, was at Mar-a-Lago. I took a picture with him. I mean, he's a nice-looking guy. He's okay. He's out here someplace. But I took a picture. It got published, Trump and David Bailey. All of a sudden, your industry went through the roof. So, David, congratulations. Whatever the hell you do, you did a hell of a job.
So David Bailey is the organizer of the conference.
Oh, yeah.
And what Trump is referring to was, obviously he must have attended an event at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's house.
Yeah.
And there was a photo that we can probably find and put up.
Yeah.
And as Trump said, you can imagine, you know, now everyone's thinking, wow, you know, there's this Bitcoin event organizer. He's chatting to Trump. What's going on? How exciting.
I'm sure Trump saw it as an opportunity right then and there.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. He has this photograph, and suddenly there are thousands of people, and he says the industry went through the roof. You can imagine somebody who's on a campaign trail thinking, gosh, this is a nice voting block. Yeah.
This guy just saw an opportunity from the hype that he got with the picture being posted, but he doesn't even know what he does.
You know, that is one of the themes of this talk,
Yeah.
where Trump is reading from this teleprompter and being surprised by things. He rocked up, has no understanding about Bitcoin, no preparation, has been given some talking points, and can't believe what's going on. He's as surprised as we are.
He is.
But as well as all of the Bitcoin luminaries and legends here, you have a legends in this room. They really are. Congratulations. Would the legends please stand up? Oh, everyone's standing anyway. That's nice. I used to say, sit down, everybody, sit down. But it's nice when they stand, including Tyler and Cameron. Do you know who that is? Winklevoss. These are great guys. They look like male models with a brain, you know? They're male models with a big, beautiful brain. Michael Saylor is here.
Okay, so Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, of course, they kind of rose to fame as being part of the Facebook story. Yeah. There was a movie, The Social Network, and these are twin brothers who got involved with Bitcoin very early. Yeah. And they own a lot of Bitcoin.
Apparently they are Bitcoin billionaires.
Bitcoin billionaires or something, and they have an exchange, Gemini, in America. And of course, they've been strong Bitcoin advocates. Big time, yeah. Because, I mean, they run a Bitcoin business, but they also believe in the whole Bitcoin vision. Not Satoshi's vision, of course, but the Bitcoin vision. So there are Bitcoin luminaries, and he's mentioned Michael Saylor, of course, who we all know.
Kathy Wood.
So Kathy Wood, investor, she's invests in the sort of typical kind of stocks, tech stocks, innovation stocks, growth stocks, you know, FANG stocks, Facebook and Nvidia and all that. And also has been very positive about Bitcoin. And so, of course, she's a big Wall Street person interested in Bitcoin. So she's definitely attending the conference.
Ron Paul and Rand Paul are here.
Now Ron Paul and Rand Paul, they are father and son.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Paul was a presidential candidate in 2012 and 2008. He is a libertarian, where you want minimal government. You don't want government to run your life. Government shouldn't be involved in education and healthcare and infrastructure. Especially, it shouldn't have something like a central bank that issues fiat currencies. Libertarians are big believers in what's called sound money, basically money that you can't inflate, you can't debase. If you think about in the olden days, back in the day, people used gold and silver as money. And so what the emperors would do is, if they wanted more money, they would mix those gold coins with copper and stuff, debasing the metal. Of course, that was inflating and debasing the currency. But libertarians think that if only we could have a sound form of money like gold that couldn't be debased, then the world would be a much better place, because we wouldn't have all these wars. Governments wouldn't be able to print currency to pay for government programs. They would have to do everything honestly. They would have to raise taxes or borrow the money. And so the whole libertarian movement really did embrace Bitcoin from very early on. That Bitcoin was something that was limited in supply. It acted like money. And so potentially it can be a form of money that is a sound form of money, something that you can't inflate. Remember, with Bitcoin, there's a 21 million limit. So the libertarian movement, they're not particularly advocating for Bitcoin, but they advocate for sound money, and also not only that, a money that comes out of society, out of the community, organically. Instead of government saying, here's the money, this is what you have to use, libertarians say, no, let people decide what is the best form of money. And for centuries, for millennia, people decided gold was the best form of money because of all its qualities. It was durable and divisible, all those things, good medium of exchange. And so gold naturally emerged as money. And because you have to dig it out of the ground, and there's only a certain amount of supply, 1 or 2% every year that gets into the market, it's a very stable form of money.
It is,
So he mentions Ron Paul, and I'm going to encourage all the viewers out there to go and check out Ron Paul. If you're interested in Bitcoin and crypto and these ideas, naturally, when it comes to the sound money side of Bitcoin, which is, of course, what all cryptards and everybody advocate for, it's that libertarian principle where government can't create currency and can't manipulate it. So naturally, the libertarians are friendly
They are.
to Bitcoin. They don't know much about Bitcoin. It's not
Yeah.
like they've gone and done an investigation. They just really pick up from what people are saying.
Yeah.
And so for them, they say, look, this is a free market.
Mm-hmm.
And if people want to use Bitcoin, fine. Let people use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They're not trying to force Bitcoin on everybody.
Yeah.
But they're saying the world should be a free enough place where if people want to use a form of money that isn't a government form of money, let them do it.
Yeah.
Ron Paul, his podcast is called The Liberty Report. And if you want to understand more about libertarian philosophy and that, definitely check out the Ron Paul Liberty Report. But that's who Donald Trump is referring to now. Ron Paul, and his son Rand Paul, they were also at the conference. And people I would love to meet, actually. I'd love to meet Ron Paul. He's a bit of a hero for me. So what we'll do is we'll skip by and let's get to do some more Bitcoin info. Yeah.
He was just the observing protocol there.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I've noted everyone who's prominent, so
Yes.
I can move on.
Interestingly, when I go to, and it only ever happens at African conferences, Kenya and Rwanda and
Yeah.
in Nigeria, when people go up on stage, they always refer to the protocol.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to.
I-
It's a sign of respect.
Yes.
Because it's like, who are you? You just stand there addressing everyone, but not realizing that there's actually reputable people in the crowd. So
Yeah.
just acknowledging them also gives
Yes.
you the sense of respect.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's doing his job. Anyway, but now let's see. He's going to dive into some Bitcoin. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Because we have to talk about crypto. We have to talk about Bitcoin. We have to talk about all these great companies. But our country is blessed to have the extraordinary talent, energy, and genius represented in this room. It really is great genius. Not all of you, but most of you. Many of you. But this is the kind of spirit that built America, and this is the spirit that's going to help us make America great.
So just as an interesting historical fact, this is the first time Trump has come out all positive about Bitcoin. He has in the past called Bitcoin a scam.
Yeah.
He thinks it's a threat to the United States dollar. So there's some articles that we can actually look at. Let's go read some of the quotes that he has, things he's said about Bitcoin. I mean, right now he's talking about geniuses and this beautiful Bitcoin community, and he has respect and admiration for what Bitcoin the community has achieved. But, if we just look here in 2019, he says, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air.
Yeah.
And then he says, unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior. We have only one real currency in the USA, and it will always stay that way. It's called the United States dollar. So as you can see, I mean, in fact, he listen to this one. He says, yeah, it just feels like a scam. It seems like a disaster waiting to happen. I don't think we should have all the Bitcoins of the world out there. I think they should regulate them very, very high. So here he's already talking about Bitcoin being a problem, being a scam. Regulated crypto is a problem. He says here they should regulate it very, very high.
Yeah.
So this is what Trump has been in the past. And of course, now he's just turned it around.
And to be honest with you, Ms. G, I think those are his honest sentiments. What he said at the conference fits where he is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, Trump is a politician. And if there's going to be any form of currency that disrupts the actual, official fiat, there's no way he would support that as a politician.
Well, that's what he's explicitly said. So now he's got a lot of respect and admiration. So let's see how positive he can be.
I don't believe that for a second, man, because you can tell even from onset, like he has a mockery tone to it.
Yeah,
like,
he did mock it.
Bitcoiner, it's like the way he says it. It's like
Bitcoiners.
Yeah, it's like the way he says China. It's like
China.
Yeah, there's a mockery element behind it.
Okay, here we go.
I stand before you today filled with respect and admiration for what the Bitcoin community has achieved. It's incredible, actually. I sort of say to my sons, it's like incredible because they know so much about it. They're so aware of it, much more so than people that are a little bit older. But I say this is the steel industry of 100 years ago. It really is. I think you're just in your infancy. I can see it happening.
So he refers to Bitcoin and this conference as being like the early steel industry in America.
Funny. That's really funny.
In other words, crypto is the equivalent of a resource that can build infrastructure, that can create opportunities around the country. Now, remember, when he's talking about Bitcoin, as is everybody in this conference, they are not referring to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They are referring to BTC and all this other crypto.
Yeah.
But none of that has anything to do with infrastructure.
Nothing.
Every single thing about this conference is about strategic reserves, prices going up, asset. Nothing is about infrastructure.
Nothing.
So to liken Bitcoin, at least BTC and rest of crypto, to the steel industry certainly is not a fair comparison.
It definitely isn't, Mr. G. I mean, if we were to look at both eras, I mean, there was so much produced then. You know, there was steel trains. You know, there was just a whole lot of
innovations on steel
happening. Exactly. But if we were to compare it to Bitcoin now, like, there's no innovation behind BTC. It's just speculation, man. It's just prices and, you know, pumpamentals, like we've been saying.
Yeah. But if he was referring to Satoshi's vision for Bitcoin,
definitely,
I would agree.
Yeah, but it's so also complex, Mr. G, and confusing, because every time when we speak of Bitcoin, like, our base thought is the tech.
Yeah.
So it's always like that thin line we always need to be conscious of.
I agree with Trump. If he was referring to Satoshi's vision or BSV, it is like the steel industry.
Yeah.
It's a new infrastructure that is going to enable business models and opportunities. It is like laying down new railroads. You know, the railways allowed people to move, goods to move around the world, opening up opportunities for people and building communities. The steel industry laid down this physical network infrastructure that people could thrive on and build on. And Bitcoin is exactly the same. It's a physical network infrastructure. It's a digital railroad that is cheap to deliver goods on. You can throw as many goods as you like onto that train. It's not going to cost you a lot. Can you imagine now if we were to relate the two, if railroads in America were as cheap and as easy and convenient and effective as Bitcoin? You know, can you imagine how that can grow an economy? Well, of course, Bitcoin SV is that infrastructure.
Which is quite a clear analogy, man. It's just pretty awesome, because there's so much innovation happening on the BSV side.
That's for sure. Not much at this conference, though, unless you like charts.
Charts and pumpamentals.
In just 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal.
Did I read that correctly?
Mr. G, he sounds like he just found that out.
Well, he's just reading from a teleprompter. It's like he's impressed. So did you see now the switch? So he says, in the 15 years from an anonymous posting on a message board, it wasn't anonymous, it was pseudonymous. It was Satoshi Nakamoto, to the 15th most, and look at the word he said, valuable asset in the world.
Didn't he say 9th?
9th, whatever it was. So he is now saying, well, Bitcoin was invented, now it is the 9th most valuable asset. And of course, remember, there's a difference between price and value. It might be the 9th most priciest asset.
I think that's the term that should be used. Yeah, it's the most priciest. Like, we shouldn't, like, just misuse terms, you know?
That's right. But of course, none of the people at this conference would know the difference. For them, that is the value. The value's in the price.
Think of that. It's already bigger than ExxonMobil. Soon it will be surpassing the entire market cap of silver. It's not bad. How about gold? Let's go gold.
So there we go. You know, again, he's saying that it's surpassing all these things, silver and all that. Yes, in price. And all that's telling you is how overpriced it is.
Price. I like that you specifically put it at that. In price, because in value, there's no way we can compare the
Like, where's the value? In other words, how can you use it? Can you eat it? Can you do anything with it? No, but it's pricey.
It's pricey.
So don't cheer this on, realizing that you're buying the most priciest and expensive, overpriced asset in the world.
Is it even an asset?
Well, I mean, it's something you can have, and
Because I think if you were to put it in that sense, an asset has to have a form of value, you know, even if it's just valuable to you.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, because in this instance, BTC has no value, Mr. G. Like we all know that.
And one day it probably will overtake gold, but based on the way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it, and I don't think you've ever seen anything like it. And most people have no idea what the hell it is. You know that,
including
right?
him, and including everybody at this conference.
I think you should have just concluded the sentence with, you know, everybody and myself.
Yeah.
So what happens when they figure it out? That's going to really be something.
Yes, when people figure it out, it is going to be something. Everyone's going to crash.
Bitcoin is not just a marvel of technology. As you know, it's a miracle of cooperation and human achievement in a lot of relationships that are formed.
So yes, BSV sure is.
Super accurate, like the way he put it there.
Yes.
Because that's basically, I'd say that's the foundation of the technology.
Indeed. So again, I mean, there's a big difference. BTC, BSV, everything he is saying about Bitcoin SV, I'm going to say I agree with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the price. I mean, who knows how valuable BSV is going to be.
Yeah.
If everybody's using it on a daily basis and it really does form a foundation for a new network protocol and new businesses, yes, if there's huge demand, of course, BSV can go very high in value. Whether it will ever exceed the value of gold or silver, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that, but I do believe it will be a valuable thing that people will want.
Yeah.
And that naturally means that the price will go higher. But how high?
We don't know.
We have no idea.
We have no idea.
So let's see.
But even so, Mr. G, I believe it will be like, you know, a more ethical and justifiable value price at that point, because it's not like inflated or speculated in a sense, but it will be based on its true value.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly.
The leaders, and it's amazing. There's a great relationship.
Okay, we're gonna skip it a bit because it's again just politicking. Take your campaigning elsewhere.
The reason I've come to address the Bitcoin community today can be summed up in two very simple words: America first. Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right.
He said a very important thing there, that he wants to dominate. All right. So with Bitcoin, if you want to dominate, then of course you are going to need to be able to encourage entrepreneurs to take up the network, to understand it, of course, first of all. None of this crypto trading. But if you want to be driving innovation in your country and you want to dominate, then absolutely make an environment that is friendly, that has all the right things in place in terms of licenses or whatever needs to be checked, and let entrepreneurs figure this out. The way that you are going to build this economy or any economy is by allowing entrepreneurs to thrive, because they see the problems and they build the solutions. If Trump is serious about this, he's going to need to create an environment and make it easier for Bitcoin entrepreneurs and crypto entrepreneurs to build solutions. And it's the entrepreneurs who are going to be the ones who figure out what works and what doesn't. You see? So of course, you know, he's taking a very top-down approach, as all politicians do. They think that that's how you build a society, you build it from the top down. But really, if he wants America to be first in Bitcoin, well, there's only one way to do that, and that's to allow entrepreneurs to thrive.
America's destiny is to lead our rivals in everything and to surrender our industries to no one. You know, some of you are involved with AI, but you also have the same thing. You need a thing called electricity.
All right, so now he's going to address the electricity consumption, because of course, when it comes to Bitcoin, one of the famous things about it is that it consumes electricity.
A lot of power,
And there's reasons for that. It's not just wasted. It's to make sure that miners grow large enough to become accountable to law enforcement and regulation. And so this is a major talking point. How do we, if we use Bitcoin, how do we overcome this, what seems to be this extraordinary waste of energy? Well, Trump is now going to give his proposal for how to deal with the electricity consumption that Bitcoin requires.
Sounds like another empty promise.
This is politics.
Involved with AI, but you also have the same thing. You need a thing called electricity. You need a lot of electricity. You know, AI needs to be really dominant, and China can do it much easier. We have environmental impact statements to do, but we're going to do things that nobody thought were possible. You need tremendous amounts of electricity. You need double the electricity of the entire electricity that we have right now in the United States to dominate. And we'll get that done. Who would think we can get that done? But we're going to get it done. We'll be having power plants built at the sites. We'll be releasing people from certain ridiculous requirements. And we'll be using fossil fuel to make electricity because we're going to have to. We'll be using nuclear. We'll be doing it in an environmentally friendly way. But we will be creating so much electricity that you'll be saying, please, please, President, we don't want any more electricity. We can't stand it. You'll be begging me, no more electricity, sir. We have enough. We have enough.
I mean, we have to include that. It's that is, I would say that is the most Trump thing. Please, no more electricity. I can't handle all of this electricity.
It's too much electricity, sir.
All right. So, you know, if you've got a mining operation you want to put together, well, America's going to be the place. It's going to be so cheap. You're going to be begging Trump to stop giving you electricity. So, yeah.
That's funny, man. Like, he really sounds like a cryptid.
Yeah. I love it.
See, Trump, you know, when we constantly talk about the confidence that Americans have, like, Trump has that, like, form. Like, he embodies it perfectly.
Yeah.
Trump
overconfidence.
Like most of the time he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
But he just wings it and
he says it confidently.
Yeah, and people just ride on that because, well, it's Trump.
Yes.
You know,
when you say confidence, that's the origin of the word con. When you get con. A con man is a confidence man. And I mean, Trump is just oozing confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't believe.
That's a good catch, yeah.
I feel like this confidence man is maybe pulling the wool of eyes with all that electricity.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
Sounds great. Superpower. Bitcoin superpower.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen.
Do you say it's going to the moon?
He said it.
Trump says it's going to the moon. I thought he said it was a scam, right? I guess scams can go to the moon before they come crashing down.
Straight up, eh? And that's a very far. Like, it's going to come crashing hard because, geez, man, like, all the promises he's making, it's crazy.
So he says there it's going to be mined, minted, and made.
Yeah.
The entire focus here is on that little token. And of course he's using, you know, traditional mining terminology or coin creating terminology, minted.
Yeah.
A very important thing to know about Bitcoin is that when Satoshi created Bitcoin, he issued all the coins. There were 21 million coins that were created at that point.
Yeah.
And all that's happening now is they are being distributed.
Oh, yeah.
So Bitcoins are not being
Created,
made or minted or mined. It's not the Bitcoin that's mined. It is the transaction, which is processed. It's a processing a transaction.
Jeez, Mr. G, like this shows like how much people actually don't understand this technology.
Yeah, I mean, he must have had advisors writing the speech for him.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, this is Trump we're talking about. He's not just a mere somebody, you know. This is someone who has a team of researchers and stuff, and yet they still get it incorrect.
For everybody in that audience, what he was saying was beautiful.
Yeah.
They loved it. That was right up everything they're saying, but absolutely. Yeah. It just shows you the level of cluelessness there is in this industry. I mean, this statement, mined, minted, and made, is not how Bitcoin works.
At all.
Transactions are processed, and already issued Bitcoins are then distributed to the miners.
Yeah.
And there's no minting of Bitcoins. There's no making of Bitcoins.
But that's where the danger also lies because, you know, influencers like Trump, they just throw around these terms and not realizing that it somehow bases an understanding in someone's head, like, oh, if Trump says this, then this is actually what it means,
Absolutely. You can be sure there are millions of people who never cared about Bitcoin, who followed Trump and love the guy, and are now listening to this and drinking in every word. And so you can imagine now people, especially if you vote for the guy, you know, he's going to give us some promises later on. I mean, it's so dangerous.
It is.
The power here, the misguided power.
The superpower.
Just shows you got to be careful of your leaders,
Very much so. That's why I'm saying it's scary because, for him, it's easy to say these things because he doesn't realize how they affect the mere person in the street, because it comes back to that. Like, it's not just ideas being passed around. It still needs to come back to, the utility and adoption of the people.
Indeed. All right, here we go. Kage, ready?
You're going to be so happy. You're going to say he's the greatest guy. That's why I'm proud to be the first major party nominee in American history to accept donations in Bitcoin and crypto. And they've made a lot of them, I might tell you. And I appreciate it. Since we made that announcement on May 21st.
So, Ms. G, tell me now. So a man like Trump having to receive donations like from crypto, is it like, now how does that sit with law now?
People think that if you are receiving Bitcoin, it's not like earning income. You don't have to declare it. The idea that you can have money and move money without having anybody, no regulator noticing or no auditor checking or no tax man, breathing down your neck. And so a lot of people out on the web often do that. They put a Bitcoin address or a crypto address or something on their website and they say donate. Now, when you're donating with crypto, of course, I don't know what Trump is doing with that crypto, although I'm pretty sure they want to stay clear of any potential issues, especially in America where there's, there's a lot of tight regulations, and the Securities Exchange Commissioner Chairman Gary Gensler, who Trump brings up, they're pretty serious about this. So I'm sure Trump is receiving those cryptos and doing his best to make sure that it's above board and visible. There's a lot of rules around campaign financing and stuff. So I'm sure he's keeping his nose clean on this one.
I'm sure.
And I appreciate it. Since we made that announcement on May 21st, we have already raised $25 million, much of it in Bitcoin, crypto, and others that are very, very good also. But as you know, our excitement about the future of Bitcoin and crypto could not be more difficult from the approach of our opponents.
As somebody who previously called Bitcoin a scam and all that, suddenly now receives $25 million in crypto, is he going to turn that down?
Yeah, definitely. Because there was a little bit dodge for him to say that, because previously we have noted that Trump was anti-crypto, and then all of a sudden he gets donations and now he's pro.
He loves it.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, 25 million, that's all it had to take.
It's like the David Bailey photo. He was surprised that there was such an uproar and everybody noticed, and that's what made him think, okay, this seems to be a big industry with a lot of people, a lot of nice voters in that block. So let's dive in. And of course, now accepting crypto payments and becoming the crypto president, well, throw all that other stuff out the window of it being a scam. It's the greatest thing ever. And
remember, Trump is a businessman first before anything else. So wherever there's an opportunity, Trump is there.
He's there.
Can't be. Look, our opponents have gone a difficult route. They're going old-fashioned stuff. We're going to take it right down the middle. We are so different from anybody else in terms of a campaign. First of all, we understand it. They don't understand it. They are blocking your path. They're blocking your way. But I've made it a lot easier for you because the SEC has been very, very tough on you. And now they see that you've embraced me. All of a sudden, people that were under investigation, they're being let go. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. We love crypto. Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much.
Thanks, President Trump. So, I mean, well, that's pretty clear. If you don't vote for Donald Trump, everybody, your crypto is going to be taken away. You're going to be arrested. You're going to be put in jail. So if you want to save your life, then you better vote for Trump because the opposition is coming for your coins.
Yeah, it's quite funny because even how he puts it, it's a done deal, guys. Vote for me. Everything will go your way if you vote for me because the other guys are anti you guys. So vote for me, basically.
Perfect politics.
And the reason they're doing that is I've heard from some of your great geniuses that talk to me about this subject. I've heard from Vivek. 175 million people in some form are involved with this world of crypto and Bitcoin and all of the others, 175 million. So when they heard that, they said, let's be nice to them at least until after the election. So I've taken a lot of pressure off a lot of people. A lot of people are very happy today that about 3 months ago weren't so thrilled.
So he says there, he was referring to the opponents, though, that they're going to be nice to crypto people until the election.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about himself there. Even what Trump is saying right now, he is promising all this stuff and it's going to be great. America first, world's greatest Bitcoin superpower.
Yeah.
What's going to happen after the election? Is it going to be like that, especially given Trump's statements before about how he believes Bitcoin is a scam, but also a threat to the United States dollar. Yeah. This is just how it is when you watch the candidate campaigning. Yeah. And then you see what happens afterwards. Trump said a lot of things before. Yeah. The 2016. Yeah. Was that when he was a president?
2016, yeah.
And a lot of that didn't happen. So here we go again. He's pandering to these Bitcoiners. He's threatening them and saying that if they don't vote for him, they're going to be all axed.
I found it like a little bit of a subtle as a threat because he was literally saying, guys, you guys better vote for me because if you don't, they're coming all for you. Yeah. That's basically what he was saying.
It's a nice juicy block of voters, that 175 million. I don't think it's all in America, of course.
For 3.5 years, is that right? Look, he just said that's right. And you know it's right. For 3.5 years, the current administration has waged a war on crypto and Bitcoin like nobody's ever seen before. For those who work in this industry, they target your banks, they choke off your financial services. Have people seen that? Yes? Yeah, they have. Plenty of hands up. They block ordinary Americans from transferring money to your exchanges. They slander you as criminals.
Okay, again, this is what's been happening around the world, of course. We've seen exchanges like FTX and all that. They've come for those guys. And of course, if you're a crypto company, it's very hard to get bank accounts and that sort of thing. And this is what really has been happening in America in terms of the SEC regulations. It is a difficult place.
It is,
America, around the world. South Africa is different. There's actually now a licensing regime, and a few countries have started coming up with licenses. He's really speaking to this audience because I'm pretty sure a lot of those guys in that audience have felt this. Trying to create a bank account or something. Or even just, like in New York, they've got the crypto license, but it's expensive and it's onerous to get. So this is a very real fact, and he talks about that choke point, how it's limiting progress, and that's true.
Yeah.
So it's not about opening everything up and just having a free-for-all, but it would be nice to be able to see if Trump does get elected and he does make an environment for crypto people to be able to create businesses, obviously doing all the right regulatory checks. So that would be great. Okay, here we go. Right, of course, some more politics.
When we see the attacks on crypto, it's a part of a much larger pattern that's being carried out by the same left-wing fascists who weaponize government against any threat to their power. They've done it to me. It should be no surprise that these same totalitarians are hell-bent on crushing crypto and obliterating, and that's what they want to do, and that's what they are stated. They're there right now. You have the SEC, you know what they're doing, obliterating Bitcoin. The reason could not be more clear because Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control.
And you can hear how the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
But the greatest irony here is how, he just said, Bitcoin is a defense against government tyranny and coercion and control.
Yeah.
In other words, him.
Quite ironic.
He's celebrating that Bitcoin potentially can stop him from doing what he wants to do.
So how is what he's saying making sense? Because this guy's a politician. There's no way he would push narratives that are against the government.
Unless he could get a vote for it, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's just for a vote. But we all know that it's just fluff. There's no way all these promises would happen. No way. Yeah.
You can actually see whenever he's not looking at the teleprompt, that's when he gets all like, tangents and politics and whatever. Yeah. Just stick to the script, Donald.
I pledge to the Bitcoin community that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done. It'll be done. The moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. And as long as I'm in the Oval Office, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, do you remember? Elizabeth Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people. She hates everything about you. Will keep their hands off Bitcoin. They're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
Crowd goes wild.
I didn't know he was that unpopular. Well, I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa.
That's great.
He didn't even expect that reaction, man.
Say it again. I'm going to fire Gary Gensler. Woo!
That blew him off, actually, because it's like, whoa. I know.
So Gary Gensler, chairman of this SEC, he's been cracking down on crypto in America. Coinbase, that's a famous little conflict that's going on.
Yeah.
Coinbase is trying to stop Gary Gensler from shutting down products or whatever it is that Coinbase are trying to release.
Yeah.
So this has been going on. And of course, people in crypto, they can't stand Gary Gensler because he represents that meddling finger of government trying to mess with their fun. And so, of course, Trump, not understanding Bitcoin and crypto, hasn't really felt the impact until this moment.
Yeah, I think that was fairly new for him to actually, experience that. Okay, they have a problem actually with the law, these guys, because I think it's more that than Gary, as a problem, but it's more the law.
Yeah. Gary's doing his job.
Yeah,
he wants to make sure there's oversight and all that. And, that's his job. And so, of course, crypto, they want to be decentralized and sovereign and, nobody must mess with them. And Trump is pandering to that right now. He's promising to fire Gary Gensler. But, I mean, even if he could, somebody else is going to have that job.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to have to come in and make sure that there's regulatory oversight and that these crypto companies are following the rules around traditional assets and finances and investments and things. He got a nice kick out of that cheer, and as you can see, it doesn't matter what you're cheering for Trump. He just likes the cheers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would have liked to have said fire against Gary Gensler a few more times just for those cheers.
This is more a government thing, a law thing that we can't even overlook. Like you're saying, if he's out, someone has to take over.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
Of course, this whole speech of Trump has been where he's promising that he's going to just open it up and let everybody just do whatever they want, and that suits crypto perfectly.
It's scary though.
But that ain't the real world, and I can pretty much guarantee, I'm happy to put money on it, that if Trump is elected, he's not going to fire Gary Gensler.
Never.
And even if he does, there's going to be Gary Gensler 2.0.
And probably coming harder than before.
Yeah. Exactly.
As president, I will immediately shut down Operation Choke Point 2.0.
So, Operation Choke Point, he's referring to something from the 2010s where there was another Operation Choke Point. And the idea there was that that regulators wanted to make sure that risky businesses couldn't easily acquire banking services and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was really just to de-risk the industry, the financial services industry.
Okay.
And so he's referring to a new potential or
2.0.
proposed
Yeah.
Operation Choke Point. And this is specifically targeted at crypto companies.
Okay.
We've seen so many crypto companies go belly up and, without the right regulatory checks and all that sort of thing. And so the regulatory industry is now proposing that they start putting the same kinds of limits and controls on these companies.
Yeah.
So they have to prove themselves before they can get a crypto license or something like that to be able to do business.
Okay.
So he's promising right now to eliminate that. It's a great promise.
Yeah.
Whether or not he or anybody in the administration are going to have the appetite to just de-risk these crypto companies, especially since they've given everybody such a black eye with so many billions of dollars lost. Another great campaign promise.
Yeah.
They want to choke you. They want to choke you out of business. We're not going to let that happen. And no longer will your government sit by and watch as Bitcoin jobs and businesses flee to other countries because America's laws are too unclear and too tough and too angry and too stiff. We will keep each and every Bitcoin job in the United States of America. That's what we're going to be doing. Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and Crypto Presidential Advisory Council. Would anybody like to be on that particular council? Please raise your hand.
Yes, I would like to be on that advisory council. I just hope that they can get somebody on that advisory council that understands Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean the people that they have in line, it's probably the people in this conference who do not understand Bitcoin.
I'm sure Michael Saylor will be the first to jump up.
Yeah, those guys are going to be the ones. So again, when it comes to government, you can never hope that those guys, no matter how much money of yours that they spend, that they're going to hire the right people to be able to make the right policies. If anybody in this conference is going to be on that advisory council, it's going to be a sham.
That's a red flag right there.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is a very important council. We need people who are knowledgeable in that space, and rightfully so, because we can all tell that people don't understand the tech, Mr. G. It's all about speculation and promises, fake promises. And we all know who suffers at the end of the day.
Yes, of course. And speaking of this regulatory council, there is somebody I would propose. His name is Brian Doherty, and he is an American and understands Bitcoin, real Bitcoin. And so he has spent a lot of time speaking to politicians, giving testimony at these commissions, talking about real Bitcoin and the value of real Bitcoin. So I'd like to give a shout out to Brian Doherty. Check him out. He's a fantastic advocate for Bitcoin SV. He's doing a lot of good work with companies out there. And I hope he gets elected to this commission.
You see, there's actually people out there, like real Satoshi soldiers, actually, who are doing the job and putting out the true message about the tech. So those are actually people we need on such a council.
Absolutely.
It's hella important.
Their task will be to design transparent regulatory guidance for the benefit of the entire industry, and they will get it done in 100 days. We will have regulations, but from now on, the rules will be written.
Operation Warp Speed crypto regulations. Okay.
In 100 days.
The rules will be written by people who love your industry, not hate your industry, people that want to make it clear and simple, straightforward, and fair.
How about people that understand the industry?
Yeah, because that is never spoken of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can love it, but if you don't understand it,
I mean, he loves it clearly now.
well, he likes the donations.
But he
He likes the cheers.
does, big time. But he doesn't understand the real tech behind it.
No one at this conference does.
No one.
People that want to see your industry thrive, not dive. Next, I will immediately order the Treasury Department and other federal agencies to cease and desist all steps necessary because, there's a thing going on in your industry. They want to move the creation of a central bank digital currency. It's over. Forget it. CBDC. There will never be a CBDC while I'm President of the United States.
All right, big cheers. CBDCs are definitely a sore point in the crypto community. You know, remember, crypto is all about being able to create private transactions, they call them.
Yeah.
Of course, crypto is all about anonymous. And it's not just crypto people who have issues with CBDCs or central bank digital currencies. The fear is that if governments issue these, or central banks issue these currencies, then they are going to be able to enforce all sorts of policies. They're going to be able to trace every single thing you do. They're going to be able to tax every single transaction. They are even going to be able to control what you can spend on. If they think that you have spent too much money on something, maybe they're trying to cut meat
intake.
It's like people eating meat, or maybe there's health policies. They want to stop people smoking. So they're going to only give you a certain number of cigarettes or something.
That's already like uncomfortable. We are okay with being regulated and being within law, you know, because it protects us, all of us, somehow, you know. But having to have that very much intrusive surveillance into, you know, private spendings and stuff.
That's right. That's the fear. So, of course, it's a great topic to bring up at a crypto conference like this. This is something that everybody in that conference is well aware of, and there's so much information about there. A lot of fear around CBDCs. Now, of course, there's nothing that you can stop. If the central bank is going to issue a CBDC and the government is okay with that, and that's the situation, I mean, you're going to get it. And Bitcoin isn't going to save you from that. The idea is that if you don't like what your government is doing or your politicians are doing, then don't vote for them. That's all there is. You got to remember that Bitcoin isn't a tool that is unstoppable and unconfiscatable. I mean, there's even a Bitcoin conference that I think is called Unconfiscatable. And it just shows you how people fear control and spying, you know, government spying on you. But they think that Bitcoin was invented specifically to be able to stop that. And so this is one of those things that has misdirected people into believing that finally there is a technology that can protect them from governments that are invasive or controlling. And we can tell you right now that Bitcoin is not that tool. None of these cryptos are that tool. Even these anonymous cryptos are not those tools. The only thing that can stop a CBDC are the people in the country and the politicians that you elect. So Trump here, he knows that this is a hot topic. And he knows what these crypto people, I mean, whoever wrote this speech, they went and Googled the top 10 talking points in crypto, and CBDCs came in.
So you'd swear like he literally went like, how do I actually get the crowd to be amped up?
Yes, let me say, promise them everything they want. Give them everything they want. So this idea of a CBDC, you know, Trump is now, it's a talking point for him, and he thinks that he can win some points over here. Now, at the end of the day, it seems inevitable that there will be CBDCs, maybe not in every single country, but these CBDCs are already out there.
Mr. G, I mean, countries are experimenting on them.
They're all experimenting. Some have them rolled out. Some are in various stages of development and testing and trialing and stuff. Of course, there's going to be a technical aspect to it. One of the most important things, if you use digital currency and you enforce digital currencies, you've got to make sure that people can use those digital currencies. And we can already tell you right now that Satoshi invented the technology to make offline transactions possible.
Straight up.
And that's that idea of the simple payment verification, which is described in the Bitcoin white paper, talks about how you can create an offline transaction, you know, where you can verify transactions without being connected to the network. Obviously at a certain risk level, you know, if it's a small value, no problem. So if CBDCs are going to be rolled out across the country, across the world, then BSV, Bitcoin SV, is the perfect platform for that because it enables those offline payments as well as the low-cost transactions.
It's the only, basically, because for them to succeed, you know, the transactions need to be cheaper, faster, and we all know how much it costs just to, you know, send the transaction on the BTC blockchain.
Exactly. So if you want to hear more about our take on CBDCs, check out the CBDC episode. I don't know what number it was, but we'll put the link in the description and you can check out what we think about CBDCs. All right, should we carry on?
Sure, let's do that.
We're more than halfway. There's still a lot of gold in this Thindar Bitcoin hills. So let's check it out.
And I will always defend the right to self-custody.
Okay, so just he mentioned self-custody. This is how most people in Bitcoin have their Bitcoins, I guess. You know, the idea is that you shouldn't have it on an exchange because maybe it can get stolen or frozen. And the idea of having your own coins, you know, CentBee is a self-custody wallet, because we don't keep your private key information. If you are using CentBee, you've written down your 12 words, that 12-word phrase, and your PIN, and that means you are holding the coins yourself. CentBee doesn't hold them. And so Trump is stating that he's not going to make that illegal. Of course, there are regulations that are rolling out across the world where rules around certain things. Can you self-custody? Can you have your Bitcoins and not have them on a service provider? Can you transact outside of a service provider? Because remember, service providers like CentBee, we know your identity, and we have to do anti-money laundering and all that sort of thing. But at the moment, if you have your own crypto, the idea is that, well, you don't need to now go through all that stuff, registering an account, linking your identity, and you can just transact with whomever you like. And Trump is making a statement saying they're not going to try and stop that. There is a global advisory body called the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, and they are working very hard to try and standardize and regulate crypto payments. And one of the important things around crypto payments that they are advising banks and governments around the world, they're saying that when you transact with a Bitcoin transaction, you have to transfer the personal information of the recipient and the sender. And so that means that both parties need to be known.
Declared,
And that's called the travel rule. Now, if you are self-custody, have a self-custody wallet, unlike CentBee, if you just have a Ledger wallet or something, you are able to transact without having to do that, because you just create a Bitcoin transaction, send it to an address. There's no record of identity or anything like that. And this is what crypto people want. They want a world where there's no one telling them what they can and can't do with their Bitcoin. And here again, Trump is promising and saying, don't worry, guys, we won't tell you what you need to do with your Bitcoin. If you want to have a self-custody, if you want to have it on a Ledger wallet or a hardware wallet or something like that,
it's up to you.
It's up to you, go for it. We're not going to stop you. Which is clearly countering the whole FATF idea of having a travel rule, personal information moving around. Everybody knows what's going on. So it's Trump against the regulators. And the crowds go wild, of course.
They love it.
They're loving everything he's saying. Even when he tells them that he doesn't care about them waiting, or they still love him. Because, of course, this represents a lot for them. This represents, what? Bags going to the moon. You know, that's what, I mean, even Trump says.
And that's all
that's
they
what
see.
We say.
Yeah, that's all they see. Him standing there. It's them, like, getting richer and richer.
Getting richer. Those laser eyes are pumping.
You're going to have a great industry. You're going to have a great industry, and we're going to be fuel for your industry, not demolish your industry. America will once again be a nation that protects property rights, privacy, freedom of transaction, freedom of association, and freedom of speech. We're going to change we're going to go back to the old days when we were...
I mean, all of those are wonderful ideals. You know, wouldn't it be lovely if we could go back to that? And that's what America was built on. America's gone a long way away from that. So it's amazing that he has to, in an American conference to American delegates, talk about property rights and freedom of speech. You'd almost think that goes without saying in America, right? Not anymore. Anyway, we're not getting political.
We're not getting there, Mr. G.
We want to talk about Bitcoin.
Straight up.
Days when we were a nation that was building, not a nation that was eating itself alive from within. As part of our effort to provide regulatory clarity, we will create a framework to enable the safe and responsible expansion of stable coins. Do you know what a stable coin is? Does anybody know? Please raise your hand.
Do you know what a stable coin is, Trump? So stable coins, you know, there are a lot of them, Tether and that. And the difference between a stable coin and a CBDC is that the central bank issues the CBDC. A stable coin can be issued really by anybody, any company. If you have a treasury and you've got money in that treasury, you can issue a token that has a backing to the money that's in your treasury, a one-to-one, you know, like Tether. Tether is supposed to have a one-to-one backing with dollars. And so stable coins, there are many of them out there. USDC is another one.
yeah.
In fact, interestingly now, there is a company, Rock Wallet in BSV, who's looking to issue stable coins on BSV. So that's going to be cool to see that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the difference. Stable coins, anybody can, technically, any company can issue a stable coin, issue a token. He is making a statement saying that's okay.
Yeah.
It can be a thing.
Allowing us to extend the dominance of the U.S. dollar to new frontiers all around the world. America will be richer, the world will be better, and there will be billions and billions of people brought into crypto economy and storing their savings in Bitcoin. So that's the way it is. That's pretty much the way it is.
So storing your savings in Bitcoin. There's that digital gold idea. Not those billions and billions of people being able to now earn income from around the world, earn microtransactions, be able to create new business models. It's about savings. That's what it is. Gold.
Those who say that Bitcoin is a threat to the dollar have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the current U.S. government is really threatening the dollar.
So, he's talking about inflation, of course, and this was a very important thing around Bitcoin in the early days. Satoshi Nakamoto even said that central banks inflate currency, and there was that reference to the first Bitcoin transaction, to the newspaper headline, the Chancellor, second bailout for banks, whole thing. So this has been the dominant trope around Bitcoin, is that it's something that can protect against inflation. And he talks about, did he say the threat to the dollar? Yeah. So he talks about not being a threat to the dollar. I can tell you this much: every single person in that conference wants to see the end of the dollar and believes that Bitcoin is going to bring about the end of the dollar, the end of fiat currency, the end of government control. Everybody believes that Bitcoin is there to get rid of fiat currencies. No more government currencies. So it's quite difficult to see how is Trump. He says it's the complete opposite. That Bitcoin is not there to threaten the dollar. Where does he come up with this? How does he justify that? It's just something that he's saying.
Nah, Miss G, it's all fluff. He's saying things that he knows that he wouldn't be questioned about. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him just to put it out there, people receive it the way they receive it, and that's that.
Yes,
that's just Trump style.
Everybody in this conference wants government and central banks to believe this, that Bitcoin's not a threat. Like, just leave us alone. We're not a threat to you guys. But meanwhile, of course, in the background,
they're sneaky.
That's the idea, is get rid of the dollar. Get rid of your dollars. Move on to Bitcoin. Anyway.
The danger to our financial future does not come from crypto. It comes from Washington, D.C. It comes from trillions of dollars in waste, rampant inflation, and open borders, while giving welfare and free health care to all of the illegal aliens that are pouring into our country by the millions.
All right, so here Trump is talking about inflation and the trillions and trillions of dollars of debt. Everybody knows that America is now $35 trillion. I think it's $100 billion every few days of debt. And this is the inflation that, everybody just can feel. And here's Trump. He's saying that this is not about Bitcoin. This is about inflation, the government and the central banks. And as always, when you are campaigning, you say the truth, and especially if you're not the incumbent. And Trump was very good at this in his first election back in the early days, just calling out the swamp and doing and saying all the things he's going to do. Well, here we go. He's talking about where is the inflation coming from, and he correctly identifies it's the money printing. It's the central banks, as always, creating money, and that means the value of that money is diluted, which means you need more of that money to buy the same amount of things, i.e. prices going up. And so here Trump is hitting it on the head, and you can be sure every single person in that audience is resonating with them, because this is what gets them going about
That's
Bitcoin.
The nugget.
That's it. So he's calling it out. He talks about welfare. He talks about wars, all the things that cost government so much money. And of course, if you have a country that has a fiat currency that can be artificially inflated, it's so easy to fund those things, to get elected by promising welfare programs and being able to pay for that with inflation. Same with wars. You know, in the olden days, a government would have to go and raise taxes or get people to loan them money to be able to go to a war. But in this world of inflationary currencies and fiat currencies, governments don't have to ask permission at all. They don't have to raise money at all. They can just go and print that money, create inflation.
Just run the printing machine.
So here we go again, you know, just a politician speaking the truth because this is what he knows the people feel and what resonates with them. And of course, that's your job, to try and get them to believe in you and vote for you. And then when you're in power, well,
do your thing.
And in Trump's own words in the beginning of this conference, to hell with the people.
That's what I took out of this, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe when I looked at what they did, impossible.
I know he's not talking about Bitcoin because he's not reading.
This is all common sense that we're talking about today, and Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket like never before, even beyond your expectations, and you are the people that are doing it.
Vote for me, and you're going to get rich.
Straight up, that's the promise.
Bitcoin's going to skyrocket.
To the moon.
Can I vote?
Now we're going to turn into American citizens now.
Yeah, now there's real money on this campaign, right? Just go buy some Bitcoin and just and hope.
I swear, this would actually cause like a global problem. Imagine like the influx of people just wanting to go live in America just to live the Bitcoin dream.
You don't even have to live in America. I mean, if these guys are going to be buying all the Bitcoins out there, well, just buy Bitcoin, right?
Straight up. Actually,
if you think Trump is going to win and you don't buy Bitcoin, I would imagine if Trump does win after all this, the price of Bitcoin is going to go higher.
Yeah, it's a speculation game, Mr. G, remember.
It's gambling, guys.
It is. And remember, the gambling, that only suits the house. The house always wins. And you know, if you have like all your life savings into this, that's a danger right there.
Yes, and the house in this case are the whales, the guys with the big bags pumping and dumping.
Killer whales, Mr. G.
Yeah,
not just whales.
You're going to get eaten.
Yeah.
All right.
As we stop the war on crypto, we will immediately, and we'll do this very quickly, begin to build our economy, because when America is prospering, Bitcoin is soaring, and it'll go up with it. We had the greatest economy ever, and we will soon have it again. During my 4 years in office, now you have to listen to these numbers. These numbers are like beautiful. And I don't want to repeat myself. Listen to these numbers. As a result, during my 4 years in office, Bitcoin surged by 3,900%, from $898 the day I took office to $35,900 the day I left.
So not only did Trump build the greatest economy of all time,
but
it was because of him that Bitcoin soared 3,900%.
We all know that's nonsense.
Of course, you would take credit for that, right?
Definitely.
And the numbers don't lie, right? So, hey, if you want it to happen again, you know.
That was the biggest jump, I guess, in just about any industry. Think of that. Now compare that to
the biggest bubble.
Yeah.
The biggest speculative mania.
It's quite ironic, because if we were to take it back around about that timeline, that's when he was anti-crypto.
Yes, those are the times when he was calling it a scam and all that, of course.
So funny enough, he's in charge of the prices going up.
Yeah, what a shock.
Just after 3.5 years of Biden and Harris, adjusted for inflation, Bitcoin is up 50%. Now, 50% sounds good, but not when you're comparing it to almost 4,000%, right? 50%. You know, normally you say, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let's not put that into the speech. No, 50% is not good. When people can't afford groceries or rent, they have no savings to store in Bitcoin. This administration caused the biggest inflation in the history of our country, and that's what's happened. Our people are being wiped out. From the very first day we take back the White House,
I mean, it's so disingenuous to say that the current administration caused all the inflation. Just go look at charts. It's been happening for decades. You know, it's
since the existence of government.
Yeah, I mean, Trump caused it. Barack Obama caused it.
All of them,
George Bush Jr. caused it. They all caused it. Bill Clinton.
It's a collective effort.
We will end the inflation nightmare that this administration has created, and we will end it quickly. It's got to end. It's destroying our country. You know, inflation.
You know, he talks about ending inflation, of course, and pinning it on the current administration. But, you know, you have to ask, well, how is he going to stop that inflation? I mean, the only way you can stop inflation is stop creating money and stop government spending money.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's impossible.
He boasts about the Space Force and all that. Stop spending and earn more income, and you can get rid of the debt. But of course, is Trump going to be doing any of that?
Never.
No, he's going to be investing in cryptos and paying off the debt that way.
Straight up.
Years to Germany, and you look at what happened to Germany during their huge period of inflation, destroyed the country. It's a country buster. The Bitcoiners, and I say to you that you recognize the dangers of inflation long before most others did. You understood inflation, frankly, better than anybody else. You know that, don't you? If only they had listened. They didn't listen to you. They didn't listen to you. The trillions of dollars in ridiculous waste approved by our opponents resulted in the very inflation disaster that Bitcoiners had always predicted. 20, 30, and even 40% of the value of every dollar was wiped out, and wiped out quickly. You understood that, but a lot of other people didn't. The life savings of millions of Americans was rapidly destroyed. And very simply, uncontrolled inflation is a stealth taxation of the middle class. It really is. It's a stealth taxation.
That's spot on as well.
True. Yeah.
You know, this idea of inflation being a stealth tax. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, when you get taxed, you can see how much money is going out your account. You've got to pay this much money, and
You know.
you feel it.
Yeah.
But with inflation, the money is leaking out of your pockets.
You don't see it.
Yes.
You don't feel it.
Because, you know, you've got $100 in your pocket, but tomorrow you look and it's worth 90. Where did the other 10 go?
Yeah.
Well, that's the stealth tax. That's the inflation tax.
Yeah.
And straight, I mean, this is what Bitcoiners have feared. And it just goes back to that idea of a sound money system.
Yeah.
Where if you can't inflate currencies, then you can't steal the purchasing power of people's money out of their pockets.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And again, as a campaigner, Trump is hitting it on the head. He is saying the truth.
All the right things.
And making people believe in this guy that he's going to come in. Now that he knows the problems, surely he's going to go and solve them. You know, it's politics, guys.
Politics.
Like, when are you going to learn?
Politics.
Politics. Straight.
I call it the Biden tax. Now I'll call it the Harris tax, or the Harris-Biden tax, or whatever the hell we're going to call them. But it's a disaster. It's a tax of 50%. It's a 50% tax. Inflation, think of it. It's a 50% tax on people, 50. This is a human tragedy, and it's destroyed people. It's a national disgrace. It's destroyed everything in its way. It must never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. When I'm president, I guarantee you it won't happen, because we're going to do things that make sure it doesn't happen.
Promises.
But we won't stop there. We will harness American energy in all forms. I have set the ambitious goal that by the end of my term, the United States will be the #1 lowest cost of energy and electricity.
Oh, this is that comment about
Electricity. Too much power.
Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You'll be a Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You will not have to move your family to China.
Now people are going to find themselves wanting to be American citizens, because just based on Trump's promises, like, okay, I can now start a mining company in the US and make it. It's basically trying to create like that organic, you know, capitalist system, you know, that anyone can succeed in, you know.
You know, one of the things about Bitcoin, of course, is that energy that needs to be consumed. You know, the whole idea of proof of work, making sure that miners become large enough so they're visible to law enforcement and accountable. The interesting thing about proof of work is that miners are always incentivized to, first of all, find the cheapest electricity.
Yeah.
And so you'll find mining operations in countries where there is either cheap electricity or deals for that electricity or something like that. So electricity is a major component to the costs of mining.
Yeah.
Of course, there are other things that miners can do to compete. They can develop better chips, better strategies, how to do the hashing or whatever it is. They need to constantly innovate to be able to stay ahead of their opponents, with energy being a critical aspect of that.
Yeah.
And so here's Trump. He's now saying, well, we don't want to have an issue with energy. We've got all this oil. We're going to go nuclear. It's going to be safe. Don't worry.
Fossil fuels, yeah.
And this is going to encourage Bitcoin mining operations to come into the country and take advantage of the
cheaper tariffs.
Yes, the cheaper electricity and the favorable regulatory environment. But of course, in Trump fashion, just going over the top of it as always.
You will not be moving to China. As we implement these reforms, Bitcoin and crypto will grow our economy, cement American financial dominance, and strengthen our entire country long into the future. Many Americans do not realize that the United States government is among the largest holders of Bitcoin. Does anyone know that?
Yeah, this is now an interesting thing. And of course, there's been a lot of activity around this hoard of Bitcoin, the BTC, that the United States government holds. What they've done is, over the years, as they've
confiscated
dark web markets or whatever, Silk Road famously, they have now confiscated a lot of BTC, and they've been selling that BTC. A lot of people are blaming the current price, the low price, and the hit to the price with all the selling. Of course, Germany as well, countries are selling BTC, the BTC that they've confiscated.
Okay.
So this is what's been happening. And of course, Trump is going to make some promises about that.
Actually, you just put a perspective I never took note of. This is quite deeper than we actually see it, because if governments are now involved and playing the speculation game, if the state now gets into it in that sense, they also have
they're going to be pumping and dumping.
Definitely. They're going to have to benefit.
Right. Well, in this case, all he's talking about is saying, we've got all this Bitcoin and we're selling it. And of course, nobody wants you to sell Bitcoin, because if you sell the Bitcoin, the price goes down. And so he's going to make some fantastic promises now.
How about that? The federal government has almost 210,000 Bitcoin, or 1% of the total supply that will ever exist. But for too long, our government has violated the cardinal rule that every Bitcoiner knows by heart: never sell your Bitcoin, right?
Diamond hands,
Laser
strong hands, laser eyes, hodl, never sell. I mean, this again just shows you the joke about, BTC. Don't use it, just buy it and hide it.
That's the funny thing. They say all these things, and then don't use it.
Don't use it. It's like, the fees are so high. Well, you're not supposed to be using it anyway.
Just have it.
Just have it. It's like, what must I do with it? Nothing. Just sit with it.
Just sit with it.
If you think about it, if everybody did that, if everybody bought Bitcoin and then kept it, what would it be worth?
Nothing.
Like, nobody's using it. Everyone's got it, but it's not being used. It's just having it.
It's like an opinion, we all have it. It's not like it's all valuable.
Exactly. Everyone's got one.
Everyone's got one, Mr. G. But if you're gonna be talking about true value, it needs to be something intrinsic. In its existence,
right?
And there has to be some form of utility.
Yes.
But there isn't in this case. There isn't.
This comment just proves all they've done is they've taken the top 10 cliches of crypto. Don't sell, to the moon. Trump said it all, I
swear he had a sheet with all these points, man.
Oh, he's got his teleprompter, that's right. When you watch this show, this talk, you can always tell when he is talking about Bitcoin, because he's reading that teleprompter.
Yeah. And
when he's politicking, he's just, winging it.
Yeah, the politicking side of things, it's more him. So he can easily just push it straight from the dome. But with crypto, he has exposed that he doesn't understand it as much, hence reading from the prompter, and also,
being surprised.
You can tell that he was reading certain things for the first time. He's, the
really? Highest appreciating asset. Really?
Really? He couldn't even hold himself. So clearly, Mr. G, this guy is more about the pumpermentals, not the true nature of the tech.
The campaignamentals.
Campaignamentals. I think that's a word, because I think that's also going to be like, not only on the US, because, you know, the US sort of like sets the global standard of how also politicians approach things in their own countries. So I can definitely see it like also being a page, you know, being used by other politicians, like having these crypto promises, vote for me. That's definitely the template. Yeah.
Definitely. Right, let's finish this off. We're gonna leave he leaves the best for last.
That's right, isn't it, huh? That's right. How did I figure that one? Never sell your Bitcoin. And so, as the final part of my plan today, I am announcing that if I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. As you know.
So, I mean, this is just when it goes from the ridiculous to the redonkulous. You know, he talks about the strategic stockpile of Bitcoin. Now, you know, when you talk about a strategic reserve of something, in America they've got, and I'm sure other countries, strategic oil reserves.
Yeah.
I know about this in America because they've been using up their strategic oil reserves. But the idea is that you keep a reserve or a stockpile for when you need it, for an emergency. You know, when things don't work out, you've got your emergency stockpile. And so, of course, he starts off this by saying, we're never going to sell our Bitcoin, but we're going to have a stockpile.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason you want a stockpile is because you're going to want to do what with Bitcoin BTC? What's the only thing you can do? Sell it.
That's it.
You see?
Yeah.
So Trump is saying we're going to have a stockpile, but we're never going to sell it. So what is it for? It's like if you're going to have a stockpile of oil, but you're never going to use it,
doesn't make sense.
What's the point of having it?
Yeah, because even in that sense of having to stockpile, you stockpile something that will be used in the near future, or, you know, there's some form of value that you don't want it to run out, or you don't want to find yourself in short.
They want to keep all their Bitcoin, but they want to stockpile.
Yeah.
So the idea is that now when that stockpile is needed, they're going to be selling that stockpile or parts of that stockpile, i.e. billions of dollars of Bitcoin coming onto the market, dumping the price. But of course, for the people in that audience and for all crypto people around the world, they're loving this, because what he's saying is like, we are going to buy your Bitcoin. Doesn't matter what the price is. We just need to start getting a stockpile. And we're never going to sell it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to buy all the Bitcoin. So we're going to, make you guys rich. Well, the people who have Bitcoin, of course. And once we've got it, we're never going to sell it.
We keep it.
So, you never have to worry about us crashing the price.
Yeah, right.
As you know, most of the Bitcoin currently held by the United States government was obtained through law enforcement action. You know that. They took it from you. Let's take that guy's life. Let's take his family, his house, his Bitcoin. We'll turn it into Bitcoin. It's been taken away from you because that's where we're going now. That's where this country is going.
So he's saying we've taken it from you. Well, he's not talking about the people in the audience. He's talking about the guys who were bust on those dark webs. Took it from Ross Ulbricht. He's taken it from whatever other dark markets and whatever other scammers and whatever the heck else out there. So there's no Bitcoin being taken from the people. That reserve that they have, not reserve, but that stash of Bitcoin they've got, that was confiscated from criminals. This is not from the audience,
It's a fascist regime. And so as I take steps to transform that vast wealth into a permanent national asset to benefit all Americans, today I repeat my...
How is it going to benefit all Americans? What are you going to do with it to benefit Americans?
Nah, man, this guy's just blowing hot air, Mr. G, like any other politician. Honestly, like, this is all lies.
Today I repeat my pledge to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. It's enough.
Okay, number 9 on the biggest talking points on crypto that he's managing to check off here.
Yeah.
Ross Ulbricht. We mentioned him. He was
The Silk Road dude.
the guy
Yeah.
way back in the early days, 2011, I think it was. This website became known where you could buy drugs, you
Yeah.
could buy fake IDs, I don't know what else you could buy there. So anyway, Ross Ulbricht, he was running this Silk Road, and he got busted, and he's been put in jail with multiple life sentences.
Yeah.
This young guy, he's been there for 10 years.
Jeez.
And from the crypto community, and there's huge support around Ross Ulbricht. The argument is that he didn't commit any crimes, like he didn't kill anybody, or nobody died, nobody was harmed. All he did was create a marketplace, and everybody else came onto the marketplace, were buying and selling. And so it just seems that the sentence that Ross Ulbricht was served is quite excessive. He's been in prison now for 10 years, and people in crypto are always begging and asking, and there's a lot of free Ross campaigns, and trying to commute the sentence, trying to get Ross off. Clearly he's learned his lesson and all that sort of thing. So a hot talking point, if you really want to touch a nerve on crypto people, let's talk about Ross Ulbricht. And of course Trump pulls it out.
Yeah.
There's not one stone he's left unturned in this conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's who Ross Ulbricht is. Here's Trump again making a promise. We'll free Ross, and he'll know he'll get a good response.
It's enough. It's enough. That's what we are as a country. Ultimately, my promise to each and every one of you is this: I will be the pro-innovation and pro-Bitcoin president that America needs and our citizens deserve. This will be one industry, but this will be a thriving industry, a great industry, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for every other industry also. Our nation has never thrived by trying to censor new ideas and shut down the dreams of our people. America always plants our flag on the next frontier and pushes boldly ahead. We have to do that. We haven't been doing that for a long time, especially the last 3.5 years. It's gone the exact opposite. Those of you in this room inherit the legacy of generations of American pioneers and patriots, risk-takers and renegades who settled this continent, built the modern world, and lived on the bleeding edge. You live on a bleeding edge. You do know that, Bitcoiners, don't you? You are the modern-day Edisons and Wright brothers and Carnegies and Henry Fords, and what you do...
Okay, so we crypto people are the modern-day Edisons, Wright brothers.
Nah, man, that's crazy. Mr. G, if we were going to be talking about comparing like such innovators, let's talk about the BSV space, because I feel that's the only side where we can equally qualify it to such innovations.
Yes, that is where inventions are happening.
Yeah.
That's where innovation is happening. We have companies and individuals and entrepreneurs who are innovating.
Yeah.
They are taking technology, they are trying to find ways to make it useful. Where can it be applied? They are creating real inventions. Those are the Edisons and the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Not these crypto people. What have they invented? What innovations have they actually created?
Nothing, because exchanges have always been there.
An exchange. I mean, yeah, that's not innovation in exchange.
It's not.
And a hardware wallet. I mean, there's been secure memory sticks and things that you can put data on.
Exactly. So it's not innovative. It's basically borrowing from an idea that's always been there.
Yeah. So, I mean, to compare crypto to Edison and Wright brothers, it's a joke.
It's actually offensive. I find it offensive, Mr. G, because what have the BTC crowd innovated to your point? What?
Yes, if Lightning would work, maybe they could claim that, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. And you see, they're also throwing around terms like Lightning and stuff. Just because you're using such terms doesn't necessarily mean the tech is real, man.
Exactly. You're just throwing names out there.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about BSV, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is an innovative environment, and innovation is flourishing. Just with Terranode, Terranode is pushing millions of transactions, more than any other system out there.
Ever.
That is innovation.
That is new. Completely new.
If Trump could see that, maybe he would notice and he would say, oh yeah, you guys are the new Wright brothers.
Yeah.
But in this audience, there are no Wright brothers there. There's no Edison there. You've got a bunch of crypto shills.
Actually, there's no difference between that crowd and politicians, because it's all about saying things that suit what they want to push out there because they benefit somehow. Yeah. And it's all politics.
Yes.
That is politics.
Yes, crypto is politics. It's a con game, a confidence game.
So that's why we have always made it a point to keep it to the original protocol, trying to understand it even further, and also, having a dedicated show to decipher the misconceptions.
Yeah, great. Shall we bring us home?
Sure.
All right. As much as we love watching Trump talk about Bitcoin, here we go.
And inspire humanity for generations to come. This will go down as a very important day in the history of your industry. Together you are building America's future with your own smarts, your own grit, and your own skin in the game. You have a lot of skin in the game, and that's what you're doing. It takes courage to do it. Most people don't have that courage.
Takes courage. I suppose it does. You've got to be brave to invest in something that
is worthless.
Yeah, it takes courage, right? I don't know what else.
You really have to be brave.
Yeah.
My job will be to set you free and to let you do what Americans do best and what you're going to do better than anybody. Win, win, win. You're going to win, win, win. With energy, passion, and brilliance like we have rarely seen before, our country cannot fail. We're a failing nation right now, but we're not going to be for long. Our country cannot fail. With your help, we will save our nation, we will restore our republic, and we will make America and Bitcoin bigger, better, stronger, richer, freer, and greater than ever before. Thank you all. Have a good time with your Bitcoin and your crypto and everything else that you're playing with. And we're going to make that one of the greatest industries on earth. Good luck, and God bless you all. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Kage, what are you playing with?
No, that's funny. Because, like, the way he closed it off, Mr. G, actually sums up, like, how he actually thinks about those people around him.
Yes. Yeah. All right, children.
Yeah, all right, kids. Go play with whatever you're playing with. And I, the adult, will go do what I have to do. You know?
You just show up at the polls.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Literally, because that was belittling.
Yeah.
It's like, Bitcoiners, go play with whatever you're playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Doesn't sound like he's very serious about it, right?
He's not. You can also tell, like, from how he opened it. It's like Bitcoiners, like, I'm not actually addressing, the people, but I'm just addressing this conception of, this is what you guys believe in, basically. So I can say whatever you guys want to hear, and you'll believe it.
Yeah, you'll buy it. But to be honest, I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
These guys are playing with cryptos and Bitcoin and their collectibles, their little NFTs and stuff. So even though it's so antagonizing and belittling, really, he nails it.
He does.
If he had said that at a BSV conference, I would have thought, come on, give us a little bit of credit here.
Yeah.
But actually,
it's quite accurate. Yeah.
He completely sums it up. Go ahead, go play with your cryptos, with your Bitcoins, whatever you're playing with. Have fun, kiddies. Spot on. Nailed it. Well, Kage, that's the end of it.
Sure. Thanks for that, Ms. G. That was a pretty awesome one.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a different approach. Just us reacting to Trump's speech.
Most of the time it was just us with our mouths open, right?
Yeah, but I actually enjoyed this. It was pretty awesome because it's quite different for us. Yeah, but also, we kept it to the T, still insightful. So, yeah, guys, remember, this is your real BSV plug. So remember to comment, subscribe, show some love, yeah? Our money on fire. G, I'm going to be stepping into this week's user questions and feedback. And our first one comes from John Ivy. And they are saying, it's actually a question. They are asking, are there any viruses that can affect Bitcoin mining hardware? I know the ledger is fine, but imagine a virus took over the entire mining network. Could that corrupt the ledger, or can it all be recovered? And it's not a big deal like 51% attack. What would 100% attack do, or a 90% attack?
Well, look, this is theoretical. And of course, the most important thing to remember is that Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning that there are many node operators that are running the Bitcoin network and doing mining. And the idea there is that if one of the miners disconnects, can't carry on operating, the other miners just carry on. And so having a global network outage through a virus or something, when you have a decentralized network, it just makes it more difficult, because now the hacker or the virus has to exploit many machines. It's not just like going onto a single network and then just planting a virus. So the idea here, when it comes to decentralization, that was one of the reasons why the network is decentralized, for resilience.
Yes.
And it's not, remember, it's not for control.
Yeah.
It's not, Bitcoin is not decentralized because they need to stop government control. The network is decentralized, one of the reasons, for resiliency. And this is a particular example. So yes, it's possible that a virus, I guess, could take over a particular mining operation, maybe one or two, who knows how the virus works. But at the end of the day, having multiple mining operations out there means that eventuality is increasingly unlikely.
Yeah.
So anything's theoretically possible. I don't know what could happen, but I believe it's very unlikely that something like this could happen because of the decentralization of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that, Mr. G. It's quite clear. Our second one is still John Ivy, and he's actually stating that your information is truly valuable. If I could share an analogy, information's quality can be related to the quality of precious gems and metals. The information you share is equivalent to platinum and diamonds. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that awesome comment. As we always say, comments like that give us encouragement and make us want to continue, and makes us think we're doing a good job here. We appreciate the little pat on the back. There is so little proper information on Bitcoin out there. Satoshi's vision is lost, and we just felt compelled to come forward and create a podcast so that we could talk about this and be a voice of reason in this whole space. We've spent this whole show listening to a very prominent person, presidential candidate, talking about Bitcoin in every wrong term you can imagine. But the frightening thing is not that Donald Trump doesn't understand Bitcoin, but the 35,000 people, including other presidential candidates and politicians and influencers and business people, all of them don't understand Bitcoin either. So if every one of those people can't understand Bitcoin, what hope do we have that the common person who's not into crypto and wants to come in and get involved and understand what's going on and buy into it, that's the message that they're receiving?
True, because even if we can't look at it as just 35,000 people, we need to compound that, because these are influential people.
That's right. And these talks go on I mean, it's Bitcoin Magazine has been putting these talks out. These talks are all available online, and they are the biggest influencers in Bitcoin. If you are new to this space, you're going to be listening to those guys, and you are going to be lost. If you want to understand Bitcoin, go to the source. See what Satoshi Nakamoto had to say. Read about what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted. He didn't want a system that was unstoppable, that governments couldn't control. He didn't want any of that. He wanted a system that was cheap, that could democratize finance, as we always say, where people could receive payments from around the world at low cost. They could send money home to their families. But of course, there's all this other universe of cool different applications that you can have on Bitcoin blockchain, Bitcoin SV blockchain, for all sorts of industries. Check out bsvblockchain.org. Go to the companies or the projects or partners or whatever it is, projects. Check it out, and you're going to see how many companies are leveraging BSV blockchain. So if you want to understand Bitcoin, go to the source. Go to Satoshi Nakamoto. Check out the white paper and follow other accounts that are talking about BSV, because that's Bitcoin, and that is what it's about. What Trump is talking about, what these presidential candidates are talking about, what these influencers are talking about at these mainstream Bitcoin conferences, they have no clue. I know it seems hard to believe.
They don't.
But this is the thing. The mainstream is always wrong. It's just how life is. So you have to go and do your own research. You have to go and find out that information, figure it out yourself, and use common sense. A technology that is there specifically built to undermine regulators and to undermine law enforcement and to stop government control. You can just see it's just a dream. It's wishful thinking.
It is, Mr. G.
I
mean, you can see it with the politicians, with the promises they're making. You can tell that that's just the norm in that space.
That's right. We saw this quote somewhere about this conference about how Bitcoin BTC is the world's best kept secret. I mean, that's completely the opposite. You know, it's the most well-known secret, you know, this whole crypto thing. But what is the most well-kept secret is Satoshi's Bitcoin and Satoshi's vision for what Bitcoin should be.
Yeah.
And Satoshi figured it out. He was cleverer than all these people. He knew what it takes to create a system like this. He figured it out. That's why he does deserve the Nobel Economics Prize, because he figured out a way of doing this and nobody else figured this out. If you've walked away from that vision, if you are now on some other trip about investing and making money, you're not talking about Satoshi Nakamoto and what he envisioned. You're talking about crypto.
Yeah.
And if you're on the side of crypto, you are on the side of the mainstream, and you are on the side of the people who are going to ultimately lead you to your demise. Because it's so easy to get sucked into this.
Yeah.
You know, when you are desperate and you want to make money and you see everybody getting rich around you, you feel like a fool if you don't dive in.
Yeah.
Especially when a presidential candidate says, vote for me and I'm going to make you rich. So don't get sucked into that. There's only one way to get rich, and that's through hard work and effort.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin SV gives you that opportunity, because it allows you to now to work hard, figure out what you can do to make Bitcoin useful for people.
Be innovative.
Be innovative. Be Edison. Be the Wright brothers. Don't be Charles Ponzi or some other con man. Trump was conning you, and these crypto people are conning you.
Yeah.
They speak with confidence. They give you charts. They give you analysis.
Yeah.
They talk about all this fancy stuff, and they fool you into thinking that this is real.
It's more that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see these talking heads on the media, and they are talking positively about this stuff. You're being fooled. All right. So check it out. Check out Bitcoin SV. Go and look at what Satoshi Nakamoto was talking about. And if you do that, that's where you're going to find real value and real wealth.
Straight up. Thanks, Ms. G. Thanks, John Ivy. Our third one comes from Talon. And they're saying the real Bitcoin is a beautiful thing. Now the world needs to recognize it.
Yes, we agree.
Straight up.
Yes.
Yeah. And our last one comes from Run Deep. And they're saying, you know, they hate you. And they're laughing. I love it, though. I'm sure they're talking about us, you know. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Crypto people hate us
They do.
because we speak the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth hurts.
Big time. It's sore, Mr. G. It's sore. It's so sore.
But we don't care. You know, we know we're right. And I guess it's easier to be a martyr when you know you're right, or you think you're right. We think that ultimately history is going to tell this tale. And Satoshi's vision is going to shine through. And all this crypto stuff is going to be washed away eventually. Just don't be the one who gets washed away with it.
Yeah. Because what we're trying to do is at least keep everyone at shore, you know? You're trying to keep them safe, you know? So remember to plug your friends, you know? This is your real BSV plug, guys. So don't be fooled about the noise out there. Check out the CentBee Show every Friday. And remember to check out the app on the stores, yo. Mobile money on fire. Ms. G, I think we've actually come to the end of our show.
Great stuff. Well, thanks, KG. Thanks for sitting through this talk.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's always a laugh watching Donald Trump. He's just such a character.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot more talks at the Bitcoin Nashville Conference 2024.
Yeah.
If you want to not understand Bitcoin and crypto, then go and watch them. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to take another look at a few of those talks.
Yeah.
I want to tackle RFK. So what we'll do is probably next week we'll do another show where we just sort of wrap up the rest of the speakers at the conference and we point out different things. There's so much was said. It's probably enough material for a few shows.
Yeah.
But we'll try and keep it concise.
Yeah.
We don't want to dwell on crypto too much. We like talking about Satoshi's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Look out for that. And I'm sure you'll learn something there as well.
Yeah.
But apart from that, Kage,
Ms. G,
I want to thank you
thank you.
for the nice chat.
It's all a pleasure for me, Ms. G. It's all a pleasure.
Awesome shot.
Hashtag Satoshi Soldiers.
Yes, Satoshi Soldiers. That's what we are. Hashtag that if you guys want to be part of the soldier squad fighting for Satoshi's vision.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I want to just thank everybody for joining us today on the CentBee Show. Please come back soon.
It's a wrap.